Hello, I'm making a special little video today because I got an interesting piece of mail in from Auckland, New Zealand. Some students from Mrs. Pierce's freshman class in high school had a bunch of paranormal questions they wanted answered, so I thought, well, I'll just fire them all away here. The first question is, how many different types of paranormal situations have I been in, and what were they like? I'm guessing you mean instances where something paranormal was going on, which it's very rare, first off. I mean, I don't really even consider myself a ghost hunter, which, I mean, I don't think anybody likes that term anymore, but I don't really go looking for stuff. I'm more of a researcher, but recently I've started actually looking, inspired like many people from all the TV shows I've seen. I want to see what it's like for myself to actually go out and ask the questions and maybe get a response. And how many different... I've been doing this since 1999, so at this point, quite a few. If only 1 or 2% of the time something paranormal happens, over all these years, it does add up. And what are they like? It's... usually, sometimes they're a bit scary, but usually they're just interesting. Usually if something paranormal happens, it happens so quickly that you're not really prepared for it, and so you don't have a chance to get afraid yet, actually. It might be a bit startling, or you just take note of it, and then maybe later on, thinking back to it, like, oh, that was kind of spooky, actually. But, I don't know, it's hard to really answer that question. Every case is different. Sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's just neat or interesting or even funny. Let's see, do most people believe in paranormal activity? In America, no. I give speeches all the time, and I usually ask for my audience, how many people here believe in ghosts? Believe that there is something else going on? And only about a third of the audience believes. Now, I've been studying a lot lately, and in Eastern cultures, it's nearly 100% believe. It's not even a question of belief, or faith. It's just, yes, there is another side. Our ancestors do still take part in our daily lives. So it's a cultural thing, for sure. I think it's shifting in America, thanks largely to pop culture, actually. But in America, most people do not believe in ghosts. But everybody likes to hear a good ghost story, though. Let's see, how has paranormal activity changed over the past years till now? Well, activity hasn't changed, I don't believe. Just how we research, how we go investigating has changed. And this is something that's been going on. There's been different spiritualist movements over the years, and again, I can only talk about America, really. But people have been looking for answers, whether it be through seance or Ouija board, crystals. I mean, it has evolved intensely. Now we're in kind of a technological age where we've got all these gadgets. Like here's an infrared spotlight, which if I turn it on, oh wow, this is actually an infrared light camera on this computer. I didn't even know that. See, to me, I don't see anything. It looks like it's still off to me. But to you, you can actually see that. So that's neat. Here's an EMF detector. A very simple one that you can buy on Amazon for 25 bucks. And when the energy field is disrupted, or even actually not really disrupted, but when an energy field registers, you'll get an alarm to go off like that. And that the belief is that ghosts are made of energy, and we obviously can't see or feel energy. We can feel static, but that's about it. Or be electrocuted, we feel that. But this really is able to pick up on more subtle energy that we can't. And if this goes off, this might tell us, kind of like a metal detector, this is where we should start digging. And this is where we might start to do an EVP session, which is where we'd use an audio recorder and try to just ask questions to the air. And hopefully when we play the tape back, or play the recording back, a voice will be on there. So right now, how paranormal activity, as far as investigation is concerned, it is way more technological now. There are still people that, obviously there are still psychics out there. There are people that try to be mediums, try to be channels for spirits. And that is still used today, but I think in mainstream investigation, it's very much technological at this stage. Let's see. Have you ever thought of yourself getting in danger from this paranormal work? Absolutely. There's very real practical dangers. A lot of times we're going into old buildings that are falling apart, and you could very easily get hurt. You could get arrested, which is something that happens from time to time. But I think you're talking about more of maybe a possession. I've heard some amazing stories that are really intense. You can also, less dangerous, but you can also bring a spirit home with you. It is a belief that spirits can attach themselves to you, and when you go home, whatever activity was going on at the haunted place might start to happen in your home because some entity is with you. Obviously, this is maybe a bit controversial because it's tough to really prove what exactly is happening, but it's undeniable that something's happening. And I mean, there are tales. I've never happened to it. It's never happened to me, I should say, where there could be possession. It's really hard to say. There's a lot of talk right now about demonology, and that there's these negative spirits are really demons, and that's a really big, scary word that I think most people that use it don't know what it means. But I suppose that is possible too. So it's good when you go to a haunted place, if you're going to go investigating, that you kind of introduce yourself before you start. You say who you are, say why you're there, and say that you're there for no malicious reasons. You're just curious and wanted to make contact, and if anybody there wants to have their story told, that you'd be willing to help tell that story. So, but also asking permission. As part of that, say, if you don't want me here, give me a sign now, and I will leave. And I feel that's a good thing to do throughout an investigation too. Regardless if you're getting answers or not when you're doing the investigation, to say, if you want me out of here, just let me know right now and I'll go. And of course you have to own up to that. So that could help, hopefully protect you. What does paranormal mean in itself? Great question. Because nobody really thinks about that anymore. That's a very good question. Paranormal just means that it is not yet explained. So I think a lot of the phenomena that we see, especially I think ghost lights, which are these bright balls of light that tend to happen in very haunted places, it's a very common sight. I think that's something that just science has not found an answer for yet. It might not be ghosts, it might not be spiritual, it might just be some sort of an environmental phenomena. I don't know one way or the other yet, but I do think a lot of this stuff that we investigate and witness will be explained, and then it won't be called paranormal anymore. It'll just be called the so-and-so phenomena. Some scientists will attach a name to it. But paranormal simply means unexplained. Let's see. Is paranormal activity bad? No. I mean, first off, just like we're talking about, I think a lot of it is natural, is nature. We just don't know what it exactly is yet, how it happens, why it happens, but it's not good or bad, it just is. I think most, let's talk about it like ghosts or spirits. Most of those encounters are actually very positive. The most common type of ghostly encounter the average person will have will be interacting with a loved one after they've died. And then that can be just a very sweet, nice thing. Usually it will happen immediately after death. Your grandparent dies in the hospital, and at the same exact moment he appears in your living room, kind of like he's saying goodbye, or just checking out his family one more time before moving on to whatever lies beyond. But there are some, of course, poltergeists can be destructive. That's usually actually caused by a human being, a living human being that is accidentally using psychokinesis to move objects, usually smashing things, making noise. And of course, we talked a little bit about possessions and all that stuff. That would be bad. What bad situations have I been in, and if so, how bad were they, and what were they? Fortunately, I can't really say I've been around too many bad situations. Sometimes, well, first off, you'll experience paranormal activity through all of your senses, including your sixth sense, your psychic ability. We all have it, more pronounced on some than others. But an example of that is having a feeling impressed upon you that is not a feeling you want to have, or a feeling that you thought you would have. So sometimes you'll go to a place and feel just overwhelmed with grief or sorrow or sadness. And this is something that happens a lot at the battlefield out in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which is where the biggest battle of the Civil War happened. People will walk out there, and it's a beautiful day. It's not scary. It's a big open field, and just out of nowhere, people will be overwhelmed with sadness to the point of crying. Now, I just did a documentary that we've started showing around a little bit, but it isn't really out yet. And we explore the idea that there's a series of drownings in La Crosse, Wisconsin, about a little less than, on average, one a year for the past over a decade now. And really no explanation has been given for why these people are drowning, why these people are essentially just walking into the river themselves and dying. There is a paranormal explanation. That's a very recent thing that I did a documentary on the guys, Wisconsin Paranormal Investigators, that did a full investigation into this. So, and we don't exactly know, but we do think it's plausible, at the very least possible, that a paranormal force is actually having these people walk into the river and drown themselves. So I went up there a couple times. Clearly that didn't happen to me. I didn't end up in the river at all. But I mean, that's obviously a situation that could be a life-threatening situation, if that theory holds true. How many years have I believed in this paranormal stuff? Best phrasing ever. I guess I've always somewhat figured it was real. I wouldn't go out and fully tell someone this is why it's real, but I just kind of figured it was weird. It was real and weird. There's just too many stories out there. Too many people have seen things, and one event that's witnessed by multiple people, that's pretty amazing to me. And it's proof that one person isn't lying. It's the people that aren't at all related or in on the joke, in on the story. They have the same experience, so how could it be faked? So I've always, in essence, believed in it. I've been investigating it. I've been researching it, that's a better word, since 1999. So just out of high school for me is when I did my first documentary on the topic, and then did websites, started writing books, and so on and so on. So since 1999. Do I have any video evidence? I do have some video evidence, not a ton. Like I said, I'm not really an investigator, I'm more of a researcher, but sometimes stuff does pop up. I'll see if I can find it. They want to know if they can use the video evidence. First off, search for my name on YouTube, Scott Markus, M-A-R-K-U-S, and you can pull any of those videos off. You can do what you will with them. Some of them have evidence in them. I've got some other evidence that is not online. And I've got a ton more video from recent investigations that I will have to put up. I just did a whole bunch of stuff. There's a video coming up from Las Vegas, a lot of Los Angeles, a whole lot of Chicago. I've got a video in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Virginia, and Pennsylvania that I have to edit. So there's a lot more coming, but probably not in time for you. But I thank you guys so much. That was the last question. Thank you so much for writing to me, and hopefully I helped. And if you need more questions answered, feel free to send me a note. Thanks.